on day 3 of our trip finally into South Australia. We are just over the border at a place called Mingaree Siding.
Mingaree Siding.
Mingaree Siding. Here's me director yelling at me there. Anyways, we haven't done a lot until now. It's a big rush to get down here because we can't spend too long in New South Wales because of the COVID stuff. But we're in South Australia now, so now we're gonna just slow down because we've done about 600 k's a day to get here with the kids in the car and the caravan in tow. She's a bit of a hard time. But anyways, now that we're here, we're gonna slow down and we're gonna get to the coast and then hug the coast down Eyre Peninsula and then make our way up to Nullarbor to the border there, WA, eventually. But for now, we're going to enjoy South Australia. First time in South Australia for myself. How about you?
Yes, me too.
And for the wife and the kids, obviously. They're just youngins.
Looking for grasshoppers.
Right here is actually not too bad. I only managed to find like 2 pieces of rubbish. And there's like no toilet paper and stuff around that I've seen. So it's pretty good to see. I don't think it gets used a lot. It's a free camp on Wiki. We found it, but it's really nice sunset view here over the paddocks. Man, it is pretty cool being here. After spending Christmas and New Year's with the family back home, we were itching to get back on the road again. And with the fresh news of borders opening up for Queensland, we were off and headed west. Day 1 on the road saw us covering just 440 kilometres in about 6.5 hours as we stopped regularly to let the kids have a good play. At the end of the day, we found ourselves at the Mooney Crossroads Hotel and we got a powered site for $25 a night. When we went inside to check out the hotel, we were pleasantly surprised with a nice display of some beautiful artwork and trophy pigs. And although we hadn't actually planned to, we ended up buying some dinner at the bar and it was awesome. The next day was a big day on the road and we covered over 715 kilometres in about 10 hours, only stopping for fuel and letting the kids have a play. For our second night on the road, we chose to stay at the Mitchell Caravan Park in Bourke. After checking in and setting up the caravan, we headed down to check out the Darling River. The Darling River is Australia's 3rd longest river at 1,472 kilometres long and it runs into the Murray River at Wentworth. The next day was yet another long day on the road. We covered only 700 kilometres in about 10 hours, once again just stopping for fuel and to let the kids have a play and a break from the driving. But by the end of the long day, we were finally into South Australia. We carried on west from the border just a little bit further to get to the free camp of Mingaree Siding. That night, we enjoyed a peaceful sleep in the outback. No one inside, and all you could hear is the occasional road train going past. The next morning, we're refreshed and ready to hit the road again, this time with a much more relaxed attitude, as we're already in South Australia, and we had to stay here for at least 14 days before we'll be allowed into our final destination, Western Australia. We headed west into the border quarantine checkpoint, where they checked to make sure you weren't bringing in any fruit and veg, and they also checked to make sure you had your correct COVID passes to get into the state. We had all our stuff in order before we left, but we were informed that we'd have to do some COVID tests while we were in the state, which was no big deal. We were also told that we wouldn't need to self-isolate, which was good, but we ended up keeping to ourselves until we got the results back anyways, which was just the next day. Along the way, we had a bit of a rest and checked out the giant red gum in Oruru. This tree is over 500 years old and measures over 10 meters in circumference and over 60 meters in height. That day we had a much more relaxed drive, only drove about 350 kilometers in about 6 hours to get ourselves to Port Augusta, where we stayed at the Discovery Parks for 2 nights. We really didn't do a lot in Port Augusta except a bit of shopping and briefly checking out the Australian Arid Lands Botanic Garden and Redcliffe Lookout. After a couple of days in Port Augusta, we headed south along the coastline of the Eyre Peninsula. We briefly stopped in Whyalla for a break. Here we checked out the new Whyalla Jetty. It seems like a pretty cool spot to go fishing. We didn't have time for that, however, but we did manage to grab ourselves some milkshakes.
I don't fish.
How cool is that? What is it, Jaden?
Cuttlefish.
Good job. This day we spent even less time in the car and only stopped in at Cow, which is only about 200 kilometers south of Port Augusta. We stayed at the Cow Foreshore Caravan Park, which, as the name suggests, is on the foreshore, very close to the jetty, and the lady at the reception told us that they were catching lots of crabs there, and she even let us borrow some of the pots. So we went over there to try our luck.
What we're doing?
We're catching crabs. And we see the crabs and...
No, I didn't catch this whiting. I bought the frames. Can you believe it? I'm paying to buy fish frames. By the way, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just keep getting told by everyone. There's lots of people are catching lots of crabs here. And you know me, I love me a bit of crab, so that's what we're trying to do here.
We look for crabs. So we're gonna make some throw with it.
You want to make some straw with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna help Daddy.
You're going to help Daddy?
Why?
Oh, you're a good boy. Hurry, Daddy, hurry. Big one, big one, big one, big one. Woohoo! Woohoo!
That's a crab.
No, wait. Stop. Jonah just did a little celebratory dance for you. Maybe. Do you want to tell the camera?
There are some eggs down here.
Let's have a look.
See the eye?
Let's have a look. Can you get your head out of the way? Oh no, this is me. There they are.
So we persevered with the strong winds for a couple of hours, and all we managed to catch was a couple of small crabs that were undersized, and of course we threw them back. But one of the local fellas there was giving us some pointers, and he showed us his esky just to show us that they're out there. But we seemingly didn't have the knack or luck. So it was good old tinned fish for us for dinner. The next morning, with the strong winds persisting, we decided to hitch up the caravan and head south once again. We stopped over in Hervey Bay to have some breakfast and to let the kids have a good play. And I took the chance to try and adjust the height of my tow ball to level it out a bit more. After a long play at Hervey Bay, we were all in the car and heading south. Next stop, Port Lincoln. Thank you for spending your precious time watching our video. We are a family with 2 young kids, and we have been working and travelling our way around Australia since March 2019. We share with you our trip so you can see that it's very possible to travel with young kids. We also share with you some tips that we've learned along the way, making travelling with kids a little bit easier. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel for future videos we upload every week. Thank you very much.